Welcome to Factorization of Quadratic Equations. In this lesson, I'll be showing you how to solve quadratic equation problems using the factorization method. When we talk about factorization of quadratic equation, what do we mean by that? Factorization simply means the use of a factor to solve quadratic equation problems. So we're going to be looking at three ingredients in factorization method. In order to solve quadratic equation using the factorization method, the three ingredients needed are product of the equation, 2, we need the factors of the product, and the 3, we need the sum of factors. I'm going to walk you through these three, how we can get the product, how we can get the factors, and how we can get the sum of factors. Sit back as I show you. So we're starting with the product of quadratic equation. In order to determine the product of quadratic equation, remember product means multiply. In quadratic equation, variable with the highest power of 2 should be multiplied with constant to get the product. What do we mean by this? Let's see an example. You have this equation s squared plus 9s plus 20 equals 0. If you look through now, the variable with the highest power of 2 is this s squared. So that means we're going to multiply this s squared with a constant. Where's the constant? That's the number that does not have any alphabet attached to it, and that is this 20. So we are multiplying. You have to take note of the sign beside it. So this is plus 20. So we are multiplying plus 20 times s squared, and our product will be plus 20s squared. I hope you get the idea. Next thing to look at now is the factors of quadratic equation. How do we determine the factors? For instance, we have this equation s squared plus 6x plus 8 equals 0. The first thing you need to do before you get the factors, you need to determine your product first. I've shown you how to determine the product. So you're multiplying the highest power of 2, which is this s squared, with a constant, and the constant here is plus 8. So our product will be s squared times plus 8, and that will give us plus 8s squared. Having determined the product, all you need to take out to determine the factor is to take out the number and the square. Just pretend as if the plus is not there first, and then we have our factors. We're looking for the factors of 8s squared. So what are the factors of 8s squared? But before you do that, just take out only the number first and determine the factors of 8. So what are the factors of 8? So in quadratic equation, we're looking for two numbers, which is a factor that will multiply them together to give this 8. So the first thing that could come to your mind will be 1 as a factor, and then the number itself as a factor. That means if 1 multiply the number itself, it will give us 8. So 1 times 8 will give us 8. So we can say 1 and 8 is a factor that we can multiply together to give us the factor 8. What other factors of 8 do we have? Which other number can go in 8? 2 can go in 8, of course. How many times? 2 can go in 8 4 times. So we have 2 times 4 to also give us 8. So now the factors of 8 now is just 1, 2, 4, and 8, because there is no other thing that can go in 8 apart from these 4 numbers. Next thing to do now, we said we're looking for the factors of 8s squared. So all you need to do now is to place s beside these numbers. And then you have 1s with 8s, and you have 2s with 4x. Okay, 1s is the same thing as x, so you can do away with the 1, and then we have s left there. So now let's check out something now. If we multiply these things back, you see that it will give us the factor of 8s squared back. So s times 8x. So what you're doing here, you remember that this is 1s. So if we say 1 times 8, that will give us 8. And we say s times x, that will give us s squared. So you can see that it gives us 8s squared there. So if you have 2s times 4s, 2 times 4, that gives 8, s times s, that gives s squared. It means that we are good. So the factors of 8 here is s and 8s, 2s and 4s. Let's look at another equation. We have 3a squared plus 7a minus 10 equals 0. So we determine the product first. So what's the highest power of variable here? The variable that has the highest power is this 3a squared. So we're going to multiply 3a squared by the constant. Now our constant here is minus 10. So 3a squared times minus 10, that will give us minus 30a squared. Having determined the product now, the next thing is for us to determine the factor. So pretend as if the minus is not there for us. Just take out the 30a squared and then we determine the factors of 30a squared. So for these factors of 30a squared, let's first of all take out the number, only the 30, and to determine the factors of 30 first. What are the factors of 30? The first number that should come to your mind should be 1 and the number itself. So that means the factors of 30 will be 1 and 30. So 1 times 30 will give us our 30 back. So we have 1 and 30. So another factor, what can go in 30 again? Apart from 1, 2 can go in 30. So if 2 goes in 30 to give us 15, that means 2 times 15 can give us 30 as a factor. So we have 2 and 15. So what other things can go in 30? What other number? 3 can also go in 30. So 3 can go in 30. My advice for you is this: you need to know your times table very well. If you are acquainted with your times table, this will be considered very simple for you. So 3 can go in 30 10 times. So we have 3 times 10 to give us 30. So what other factor can be a factor of 30? 5 can also go in 30. 5 can go in 30 6 times. That's 5 times 6 can give us 30. So we have 5 and 6 also. So the factors of 30 now is just the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15 and 30. So but we need to combine them together, because 1 times 30 will give us 30, 2 times 15 will give us 30, 3 times 10 will give us 30, and 5 times 6 will give us 30. Okay, next thing to do now, we only take out the number here, but for the factors of 30a squared now, all we need to do is to place the alphabet A beside these numbers, and we have them to be like this: 1a, 30a. So 1a is the same thing as saying A, so we can do away with the 1 and then we have only A there. So let's check out something now. If you say A times 30a, that will still give the same thing as 30a squared here. If you do the same thing to all of them, 2a times 15a, you get the value here, 30a squared, back. I'm sure now you now have an understanding of the factors of quadratic equation. Having determined the product and factors of a particular quadratic equation, the next thing you need to do is the sum of factors of that quadratic equation. How do you do that? You can do that after which you've determined the factors. If you look at it, we look at how to determine the factors of 8s squared before. So now we'll be using these factors to determine our sum of factor. From this equation, s squared plus 6s plus 8 equals to 0. The sum of factor will be the variable that has the power of 1. And this s here is s raised to power 1. S raised to power 1 means x. So this plus 6s, that is where we have the sum of factor. Get that? That plus 6x, that's where we have the sum of factor. So we're looking for these two numbers, any two of these numbers that we can combine together, s and 8s or 2s and 4s, that will give us this plus 6x. So this is what I want you to do. We want to do a try and error thing first. The try and error will be for us to either plus these variables or subtract them and see the one that could give us 6x here, or let's just say 6. So the reason why we are doing this, we just want to have an idea of the particular factor that we can use to give us this sum of factor. So let's try now. S plus 8s, what does it give us? That gives us 9s. Is it equals to the sum of factor that we have here? No. So that means we can't use plus. What about if we use minus? 8s minus x, that's 8 minus 1 there, that gives us 7s. So is 7s the same thing as what we have here as 6x? No. That means we cannot use this 8 and 8s. So let's consider the 2s and the 4s now. For the 2s and s, let's add them. 2s plus 4s, that gives 6s. That means we are very close. So it means we can make use of 2s and 4s, since it gives us the sum of factor here, irregardless of whether it's plus that we have here or the minus. We just do a try and error first. So the next thing now, let's take up this variable 2s and 4s. So we have 2s and 4s. Then we want to try something now. We want to try plus and plus. So if we try plus 2x and plus 4x, will it be able to give us this 6x? So let's try to see that. Plus 2x plus 4x. You know that plus means plus 2x means 2x. So 2x plus 4x, 2 plus 4, that will give us 6, and which is 6x. So we have plus 6x there. Okay, now look at this now. Do we have the value there? We have plus 6x there. It means this one will be the one that we'll use. So in our equation, instead of writing plus 6x, this is what we're going to write there, plus 2x plus 4x. So let's also try to do some other ones for the sake of explanation. But this time around, we're going to make use of minus minus. So let's take in the 2s and 4s again, 2x. Then this time around, we're going to put minus for the 2s. So let's take the 4s too. So we put minus 2x and then we put minus 4x. You get the idea now. So minus 2x minus 4x, what will it give us? Okay, minus 2 minus 4, you're owing 2 penny and you owe another 4 penny. So that will be that you're owing 6 penny, which means owing means minus. So we have minus 6x there. Minus 6x, that's what we got there. So if you look at now, what we tried here, we tried plus and plus, and we tried minus and minus. My advice for you is this: whenever you get the product to be positive, what you need to make use of as the sign will be plus and plus or minus and minus. So let's try to break that down so that you can understand what I'm talking about. If you try to multiply this back by saying 2s, that's plus 2s times plus 4x, that will give you back plus 8s squared. The same way, if you say minus 2s times minus 4x, you know, minus times minus according to mathematical rule is plus. So if that gives plus 2 times 4, that's 8, s times x, that's s squared. You still have the same thing as plus 8s squared. You get the idea now. Okay, there will be some scenario whereby your product will be minus. So I'm talking about the next one now. So we have 2x and we have 4x. So this time around we're going to use opposite sign. We're going to put minus for the 2x, so we have minus 2x, and then for the 4x we have plus 4x. You can see now we have opposite sign there, minus and plus here. So what is minus 2x plus 4x? Minus 2, you're owing 2 penny, and then you pay 4 penny to the person you're owing. Are you still owing the person? No, you're not owing the person. The person is balancing you. 2, it means that is plus 2 because the person is balancing you. So there you have the answer there to be 2x. That's plus 2x. Can you see that now? We make use of opposite sign, minus and plus here. So let's try to interchange that now. So 2x and 4x again. This time around we'll have plus 2x and we'll have minus 4x. So what is plus 2x minus 4x? You have 2 penny with you and you're owing somebody 4 penny. If you give the person the 2 penny, tell me, will you still be owing the person or not? Definitely you still be owing the person. You'll still be owing the person 2 penny. It means the answer we'll have here will be minus 2x. You get the idea now. Now tell me, which one of these factors give the result plus 6x? If you see, it's the first one that we tried, plus 6x is the first one that gives this sum of factor. That means anywhere we see plus 6x, we are going to substitute plus 2x plus 4x there. Another point to note, if your product is negative, maybe you have product equals to maybe minus 8x squared, we're just assuming, that's the time you need to make use of opposite sign, minus with plus, minus plus, or you use plus minus. You got the idea now. So how do you know that that will give you negative product? Okay, if you multiply this back, minus 2x times plus 4x. If you say minus times plus, according to mathematical rule, that will give minus. So 2 times 4, that will give 8. S times s, that will give s squared. So there you have minus 8s squared. You get the idea of the product now. If you do the same thing to this, you're going to get the product to be minus 8s squared. So finally, if the product is positive, use plus plus or minus minus, and if the product is negative, use minus plus or plus minus.